What if I told you there is a single website which will improve your songwriting? One tool that speeds up the learning process and unlocks creativity. Keep watching to see how Hookpad can do this and more for your music. Hookpad is a musical sketchpad that helps songwriters of all levels to create and record their ideas quickly and easily. It is free to get started, so click the link in the description below and you can follow along as we show you the basics of this excellent software. Here is the screen that you are presented with when starting Hookpad. The first thing you may notice is that our screen is dark and yours may be lighter. If you would like to enable dark mode, click on Settings, scroll down to Appearance, and then select Dark. You can toggle between light and dark. Let's look at the different areas of the screen to understand what each section is used for. In the top left, we have our play button. You can also start and stop your track with the spacebar. Tracks play from where the cursor is blinking unless you have a loop section active, and then playback begins from the beginning of the loop and continue until stopped. For example, to create a loop section, click and drag on the loop row, which is this second row here, and the highlighted yellow areas are the bars that are going to repeat. You then press the loop button up the top here to toggle looping on and off. The click feature turns a metronome sound on and off, and the mixer allows you to adjust the levels of the parts of your song to your liking. If we move along to the right, we have the meter button. This changes the time signature of the song, and you select a number of beats per bar. So the default is 4 beats per bar. And you can see that changing the underlying song editor. We'll keep this at default for today. Next we have an important button. This selects the key of your song. You can see the different notes on the wheel to the left, and then different key types to the right. So here we have the different notes, and the different types of keys, including modal keys. We'll leave this on C major for now. Next to this is the tempo button. So you can click on here and type in your tempo. So 100, for example. You can also drag, or you can click on Set Tempo by tapping, and then tap the Q key on your keyboard. We'll set this back to 120. Let's now come down here to the duration grid. The duration is given in beats, so you can see here that the current selection is 4 beats, which is this one here, which is a bar. So you just click on your desired note length, and you can see the duration is changing. If we click on the Add button, then you can add different durations together. So we already have 4 beats selected with the add. If we add on a half, becomes 4.5, and you can see they're highlighted here. If we click on Add again, and then click on another duration, then it resets. So your current total duration is always displayed here. Now this duration will impact notes that you're going to add in the future, or notes that you've currently got highlighted. We'll show more of this later. We'll now focus on this main area here, where we enter chords and melodies, and generally edit our song. So you can see these 2 main sections here, one where it says click to add notes, one where it says type 1 to 7 to add chords. So this lower section, smaller section, is for entering your chord progressions. And then you can see here we've got numbers and letters of notes. This is where you'll create melodies. The flashing cursor, whilst also showing you where you are in your song, will also indicate what section you're looking to edit. If I click up here as well, you'll see that this section here will change to the melody editor or the chords editor, depending on which one is selected as well. So you should always be clear as to what you're working on in your song. So let's start by entering some chords. you can click up here where the chords in your current key are listed. You see it lists the diatonic chords 1 through 7 here in C major. If you click a chord, it will enter where you're highlighted in your song at the duration you've selected. So you can see there that the C note came in for 4 beats or an entire bar. We'll now add the remainder of the chords we want to use to begin with. So we'll just go for a 1-4-5-4 basic progression with all major chords. You can hear the chords playing as you enter them. You can also enter chords by typing on your keyboard. So you can see that the chords are numbered 1 to 7 and the corresponding number on your keyboard will enter that chord at the duration you've currently got highlighted. So I'm pressing my keyboard now and you can see it's just entering more chords. If you left click and drag, you can highlight chords and then you can press delete or backspace if you want to get rid of them. If you mouse over a chord, you can see that in the melody section above, the notes of that chord are highlighted. And then if you click on the melody section, the notes in the chord are highlighted with a blue dot here. Now this can be really useful when you're creating melodies or you just want to know what notes are in a chord. We'll click back onto the chords now. You can also drag chords around if you want, or when this icon comes up, click and drag to alter chord lengths. The other way to alter chord lengths is to highlight your chord and select the duration up with the duration grid, and it will do that automatically. So it's up to you which way you prefer. We can also highlight chords and use copy and paste commands on the keyboard. So I'm using Windows, Control C, for these 2 last chords, and then Control V will paste them in. I'll highlight and delete those. So that's your basic way of entering your chords. As you may have noticed, these are just your basic chord types. So what we can do is, if we want different chord types, we can add them through the panel on the right-hand side called Chord Properties. So you can either select chord properties before you enter a chord, or you can highlight an existing chord and change its properties. For example, say we want a 7th chord. If we click 7th chord, you'll see that all the chords in the selector have changed to the relevant 7th chord. So there's a C major 7th. And now once we've entered that chord, it's gone back to the default standard chords. Or I can highlight an existing chord. So here's the 4 chord in bar 4. And I might want to change that to a sus4 chord. And you can see it's changed the chord. It's also changed the selector as well. If you change your mind, click on it again. You might want a combination of chord types. So you can see once you select one type, other options are available or are removed. So I might want a major 7 sus4, for example. So even if you don't know about the chord types, you can experiment with them here. You can listen to them and just find out what sounds good to you and use that in your songs. You don't have to know the theory to use this software. It's very intuitive, color-coded notes. You can just play around with it and see what you like the sound of, for example. Another powerful tool in Hookpad is that we can change the key of our song on the fly. So you see here we're in the key of C major, and we've got the chords C, F, and G. Maybe for a beginning guitarist, the F chord, bar chord could be difficult, and maybe you can't quite play it yet. So you'd like it in a key with chords that you can play. So what you can do is come back up to the key button and choose another key. So for example, if we select G, you can see that the color coding stays the same. The chord numbering stays the same, but the chords underneath have changed. So now it's G, C, and D, which may be easier for open chords for a guitarist. Because of the way Hookpad works, you begin to spot the relationships between chords. So this 1-4-5 relationship, red, green, blue, is the same whatever major key we select here. And that's really powerful because it allows you to think of chord progressions as relationships between chords and not necessarily the specific chord in question. It also means if you've got a song idea and someone asks for it, but then maybe in a different key, you can quickly change the key on the fly here. You don't have to do any additional work and it's ready to go. It's a really useful feature. Okay, let's now turn to the melody section. So you can see we've changed from chords to notes. As I explained earlier, the blue dots are the notes in the underlying chord. You can see that change as I go along. The pool of available notes are in the scale for the key. So this is C major. If you'd like to see all of the notes, all 12 notes, click on this chromatic tab. You can see here we've got all the possible notes. You can still see that the notes in the scale are whole colours, and then the notes that fall out of the scale, they mix the colours together from the note above and the note below. So again, you can easily visualise where these notes belong in the scale and in relation to the scale you're working in. And it's the same process for entering notes as it was for entering chords. We can click on a note. It will enter at the duration you've selected. So this is a duration of 1 beat. And we know that C was in the underlying chord because we can highlight it there or the blue dots here. So you can just go along and enter notes as you please. Now we've changed chords. You can see how that changes. There we've gone down an octave. If you can click and highlight notes like you did with chords. In this panel here, you can raise or lower a note to the next note in the scale. You can raise it an octave or lower an octave. Or you can raise it a half or lower it a half. So this will cycle through all of the notes. So it's another way of accessing these chromatic notes if you'd like to. And the final option here is make triplet. You see there, it turns your note into a triplet, and then you can select individual parts of the triplet to change the timing of them. So that's useful if you want to add a different feel to your melody. We can also, as before, drag and select and delete notes. We can also copy notes. And this is useful because you can select a group of notes and maybe you just want to move them up or down. You can do so with the up and down arrows. Very useful for repeated phrases. If you'd like to enter a rest where no notes are playing, then there's a rest bar here. And again, this will just enter at the duration you've got selected, and moving these around is the same as with the other notes. Changing the length, all of those things are exactly the same. And as with the chords, if you change key, at first it looks the same, but the notes have changed, but the color codings remain the same. So again, it helps you to understand the relationship between the chords and the notes underneath. Some other basic features that you might need. You can highlight the measures here, and then say you want to remove a measure, you can remove it. You can add before or after a measure. There are more copying options here. It also allows us to change sections within a song. So you can change the key, the meter or time signature, the tempo, and the band. We'll come onto the band later, but it means you can change the sound of the song as the song plays. So you can really create a full song here. A few other things you might want under settings, which we looked at earlier. You can change how many measures are on a line. So sometimes it's more useful to have 4, for example, if that's the way you prefer it. You can turn off sections. So if you're just working on chord progressions, you might want to turn off the note stuff and just have the chords, for example. If you're not going to use the loop, you can turn the loop off. Or if you're just doing a melody, you can turn the chords off. There's also a piano feature, so if you want to understand where the chords and notes you're playing are on a piano, then as you play the song, the notes will be played along on the piano below, for example. And then in the top right here, you can press lock, and then if you just want to preview note sounds or preview chord sounds, you can do that without entering them into your grid, which is quite useful. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I'd like an 11th chord. How does that sound, for example? You've got nudge, so you can nudge items just across slightly by a quarter of a beat, just to get things in the exact position you want. And then you've got zoom functions, so you can zoom in to better see what you'd like to see. You can change the width of the zoom to better fit your screen if that's what you want. Okay, so here's a chorus example that we've come up with quickly, nothing complicated. And say we want to maybe repeat this twice for a chorus, and we want to create a verse as well. I could copy and paste this and move it out of the way. You're also able to create sections within Hookpad. So if I highlight where we want our chorus to be, we'll create a new section. And we'll call this chorus. So you can type whatever name you want here, but you've got some common section names pre-populated. So we'll go chorus. Measures 1 through 4. Okay. You can see here it says chorus. Here we are. And up the top as well, you've got the different sections. Let's drag the chorus over here. And then we'll click on add after. So now we've got 8 bars for the chorus. We can copy what we've got and then paste it. Delete this section. So we've got an 8-bar chorus. I'm just going to change this final note for the second repeat. I could have just clicked raise octave there. So here's how the chorus sounds. Okay, so we'll enter a verse now. I'm going to make an 8-bar verse. Okay, so I had to remove some sections there, but you can now see that we've got the 8-bar verse, which is blank, and our 8-bar chorus. With the sections, you can drag them up the top here and copy and paste them if you'd like. So it does mean you can create a section and then copy and paste it and move it around your song, move your song around without altering any of the settings within the section. So arranging your song, say it goes verse, chorus, and then you change your mind and you want verse, chorus, that can easily be done within the software. So we'll just add some quick chords for a verse. We'll use minor chords just because we use major chords in the chorus. Change the length of this. And we'll add 7 sus4 dominant 7. Okay, so here's the song. Here's how it currently sounds. We haven't created any melody for the verse. I won't bother doing this again here, but you understand how to enter the melody now. So one other easy thing we can do is to change the sound of our song using the band setting. So we click on that. You can see at the moment that we've just got piano in the bass and piano in the harmony and the lead, as you've already heard. There are a whole range of templates you can use which have pre-programmed entire bands. For example, if I click here and allow that to load, this is an entire pop sound with various different sections. You can also choose individual sounds. So you see it says harmony. You could choose different sounds for harmony. You can have more than one sound per section. Different bass, different drums. So you can really dial in your sound as you desire. As you saw earlier with the section tool, you are able to change the sound for a later section if you would like to. You might have an intro that's using certain instruments, and then it changes for the verse and maybe even changes again for the chorus. So it's really powerful once you get into it. But for now, we've selected the pop sound. So we'll use that for our song for now. So let's have a listen to that. So there you go. You can save your projects locally, or you can save them in the cloud, which is a great feature that Hookpad offers for all accounts, free or paid, which means that you can work on them at home, maybe then go to a studio or a friend's house and work on them there. Really versatile. You can also export them in a range of formats. So you can export as MIDI to take into your DAW if you want to edit it that way. You can export a score or a tablature, MP3 or a WAV file. Although you might sketch out ideas in Hookpad, you can then take them elsewhere to work on them further. Or you can fully develop your idea within Hookpad and save it and export it that way. So it's really, really versatile. We've just used some of the free features, but if you purchase, you can unlock even more useful features such as chord suggestions, matching your lyrics to a melody, and lots of other really brilliant features. Follow the link in the description for more information on these. If you want some easy songwriting tips to get you off to a flying start with Hookpad, then check out the playlist on screen now.